My name is Jake, and I work as a delivery driver for a local courier service. I've been doing this job for 3 years, and I thought I'd seen everything. But what happened last Tuesday completely shocked me and left me questioning everything I thought I knew about customer service. The offer this woman made me sounds absolutely insane when you first hear it, but I promise you, the truth is nothing like what you're thinking right now. Let me start from the beginning so you understand the full context. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon. I had about 15 deliveries left on my route, mostly packages from online orders. The weather was decent, traffic wasn't too bad, and I was making good time. My next stop was a residential address in a nice neighborhood, a large package from a furniture store. I pulled up to the house, grabbed the box from my van, and headed to the front door. It was heavy, probably about 50 pounds, but nothing I couldn't handle. I rang the doorbell and waited. The woman who answered was probably in her mid-60s, well-dressed, with perfectly styled silver hair. She looked at the box I was carrying, and her eyes went wide. "Oh, thank goodness you're here," she said, sounding genuinely relieved. "I've been waiting for this all day, but I have to tell you, there's a problem." "A problem with the delivery?" I asked, immediately concerned. Sometimes packages get damaged in transit, and dealing with that is always a headache. No, the package is fine. It's just," she paused, looking embarrassed. "This is going to sound strange, but I need to ask you something unusual, and I'm willing to pay you extra if you can help me." My internal alarm bells started ringing. In 3 years of delivery work, I'd learned that when customers start talking about unusual requests and extra payment, it rarely ends well. I'd had people ask me to assemble furniture, against company policy, move old appliances, definitely against policy, and once, memorably, help someone move a piano, extremely against policy. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm only authorized to deliver packages," I said carefully. "I can't really do extra services." "I understand, but please, just hear me out. I'll give you a $50 tip if you can help me, cash, right now." $50 was a significant tip. That was more than I made in several hours of deliveries. But I was still wary. "What exactly do you need?" I asked. She took a deep breath. "I need you to take me from behind." Time stopped. My brain completely short-circuited. Did this elegant, grandmother-looking woman just proposition me? Was this actually happening? I stood there, frozen, the heavy package still in my arms, trying to process what I just heard. What?" I managed to stammer. "I know how that sounds," she said quickly, her face turning red. "I promise it's not what you think. Let me explain. This package, it's a new cabinet for my dining room. It needs to go to the back of the house, through the backyard, because it won't fit through any of the interior doors. The only way to get it there is to take it around the outside of the house, through the back." God, I just heard how that sounds. I'm so sorry. I meant take the cabinet around to the back entrance. Relief and embarrassment washed over me in equal measure. "You want me to deliver it to your back door instead of leaving it here at the front?" "Exactly. I'm so sorry for the confusion. My contractor is waiting at the back entrance to install it, but the front door and hallway are too narrow for the box. The only way is to carry it around the outside of the house, through the side gate, across the backyard, to the back door. I need you to take it from behind, the house, take it, the package, around the back." She was now thoroughly flustered, and honestly, so was I. But at least I understood what she actually needed. That's actually a reasonable request," I said. "And yes, I can do that. You don't need to tip me $50 for that." "Please, I insist. I feel terrible about the confusion. And it's quite a long walk around the house. The property is big, and you'll have to navigate through my garden. It's the least I can do." "Okay, I agree. Show me the way." She led me around the side of the house, through a gate, and into an extensive backyard. She wasn't kidding about the property being large. The backyard was beautifully landscaped with flower beds, a pond, and a winding stone path. Carrying a 50-pound box through this terrain was definitely above and beyond a normal delivery. "See, this is why I needed to ask," she said as we walked. "I couldn't just have you leave it at the front door. My husband and I are too old to carry it ourselves, and the contractor can't leave his post at the back entrance because he's in the middle of removing the old cabinet." We reached the back door where a middle-aged man in work clothes was indeed waiting with tools. "Finally," he said when he saw us. "I was wondering what was taking so long." "There was a small communication issue," the woman said diplomatically. I set the box down, and the contractor immediately started opening it to begin the installation. The woman pulled out her wallet and handed me $50 in cash. "Thank you so much for understanding," she said, "and I'm terribly sorry about the confusion earlier. My daughter is always telling me I need to think about how things sound before I say them. I guess she's right." "It's okay," I assured her, pocketing the money. "I'm just glad I could help." As I walked back through the garden to my van, I couldn't help but laugh at the situation. When she'd first said, "I need you to take me from behind," my mind had gone to the absolute worst place. But it was just an innocent misunderstanding. A woman who needed a package delivered to the back of her house and didn't think about how her wording would sound. I got back to my van and continued my route, but I couldn't stop thinking about the incident. When I got home that evening, I told my girlfriend the story. She said, "What?" Melissa shrieked with laughter when I got to the crucial part. I swear those were her exact words. "I'll give you $50 if you take me from behind." Oh my God, what did you do? I stood there like an idiot, trying to figure out if I was being propositioned or if I'd somehow misheard her. And then what? Then she realized how it sounded and explained that she meant take the package around to the back of the house. She was so embarrassed. Melissa was crying with laughter. That poor woman. Can you imagine? She was probably trying to be clear about what she needed, and instead she accidentally made the most inappropriate sounding request possible. The best part was watching her realize what she'd said. Her face went so red I thought she might pass out. Did you at least get a good tip out of it? $50, cash. Well, I guess there are worse ways to earn $50 than carrying a box through a nice garden while dealing with mortifying miscommunication. The next day at work, I told a few of my coworker drivers the story during our lunch break. They all had similar reactions. Initial shock, then relief when they learned what actually happened, then uncontrollable laughter at the absurdity of the situation. "You know what the worst part would have been?" said Marcus, one of the veteran drivers. "If you just left the package at the front door without asking any questions. She would have been trying to figure out how to get a 50-pound box around the house by herself." "Or if I'd reported her to the company for making an inappropriate request," I added. "Can you imagine that phone call? Yes, a customer asked me to take her from behind." "What? No, wait, let me explain." "You'd have been explaining that for the rest of your career," Marcus laughed. The story made its way around the entire depot. For the next few weeks, whenever I'd come back from a delivery, someone would inevitably ask, "Any customers ask you to take them from behind today?" It became the running joke of the company. "You know what the worst part would have been?" said Marcus, one of the veteran drivers. "If you just left the package at the front door without asking any questions. She would have been trying to figure out how to get a 50-pound box around the house by herself." "Or if I'd reported her to the company for making an inappropriate request," I added. "Can you imagine that phone call? Yes, a customer asked me to take her from behind." "What? No, wait, let me explain." You'd have been explaining that for the rest of your career, Marcus laughed. The story made its way around the entire depot. For the next few weeks, whenever I'd come back from a delivery, someone would inevitably ask, "Any customers ask you to take them from behind today?" It became the running joke of the company. But here's the thing that stuck with me about the whole incident. It was a perfect example of how easily communication can go wrong. This woman had a legitimate need. She required a package to be delivered to the back of her house instead of the front. In her mind, she was clearly explaining the situation. Take the package from the front, around the back. But because she'd shortened it to take me from behind, meaning take me, the package, from behind, the house, it came out sounding like something completely different. Add in the offer of extra money, and you had a recipe for maximum awkwardness. I wondered how many other situations in life are like that, where someone says something that sounds outrageous or inappropriate, but they actually mean something completely innocent and just didn't realize how their words would be interpreted. A few days later, I had a delivery in the same neighborhood. As I was driving past that house, I saw the woman working in her garden. She looked up, saw my van, and her face went bright red even from that distance. She gave me a small, embarrassed wave. I waved back and kept driving, both of us probably reliving the mortification of our previous encounter. My girlfriend suggested I send the woman a card saying something like, "Thanks for the memorable delivery experience," but I figured that would just make things more awkward. Better to let sleeping dogs lie, or, in this case, let embarrassing misunderstandings fade into amusing memories. About a month later, I had another delivery to the same address. When I pulled up with the package, a much smaller one this time, I wondered if I'd see the same woman and if it would be awkward. She answered the door, and when she saw it was me, she immediately started laughing. "Oh no, it's you," she said, but she was smiling. "I promise this one can just stay at the front door." "Are you sure?" I joked. "I've gotten pretty good at navigating your backyard path." "I'm sure, and I've learned my lesson about phrasing. My daughter has been coaching me. Now I know to say things like, 'Could you deliver this to the rear entrance?' instead of, well, you know." "I appreciate that," I said with a laugh. She gave me a regular tip, just $5, and thanked me for being such a good sport about the previous incident. "You know, I was worried you'd reported me to your company," she admitted. "I thought I might have gotten you in trouble, or that you might have thought I was some kind of crazy person." "Not at all, just a misunderstanding. These things happen." "Well, thank you for being understanding, and for keeping your sense of humor about it." As I drove away, I reflected on how the situation had actually turned out pretty well. Sure, it had been incredibly awkward in the moment, but ultimately, it was just two people trying to communicate and accidentally creating confusion. The woman had been embarrassed, but handled it with grace. I'd been shocked, but stayed professional. And in the end, we both got what we needed. She got her cabinet delivered, and I got a good story, and $50. That evening, Melissa asked if I'd had any interesting deliveries. Actually, yes. Remember the woman from the "Take Me From Behind" incident? Oh God, you had to go back there? Yeah, another delivery. But this time, she made very sure to use appropriate phrasing. We actually laughed about it. That's kind of sweet, actually. She sounds like a nice person who just had a really unfortunate word choice. That's exactly what she is. So yes, a woman did offer me a generous tip if I would take her from behind, but she wasn't propositioning me or making an inappropriate request. She was an older woman who needed a package delivered to the back entrance of her house, and accidentally used phrasing that sounded wildly different from what she actually meant. It's become one of my favorite work stories, not because anything scandalous happened, but because it's such a perfect example of how communication can go hilariously wrong. And it's a reminder that sometimes, when something sounds too outrageous to be true, it probably isn't what you think. Sometimes, it's just someone who needs a cabinet delivered to their back door and doesn't realize their words could be interpreted differently. Though I have to admit, every time I have a delivery that requires going around to a back entrance now, I'm very, very careful about how I phrase my questions to the customer.